then I will end my presentation. So I just take one cue from Robert Garden, the economist. There are two revolutions which he talked about. The first revolution on 18th century, the second revolution on 19th century. The first revolution is industrial revolution, which is it is almost the industrialization of the things which was happening, and the second one was the innovation of the telephonic and the lights which was happening, and the third revolution which has happened on the computing and the internet side. But when you just think back in the 20th century, it is almost about the way back 1970s. By that time, India got freedom, and I can even say that Nigeria got freedom in 1963. So there is a both the economics are open for freedom, and from there the status come. And 21st century, it is a computerization of all manufacturing. It is not only anything, whatever it is available, currently it is getting into the computerization. So if you see the shift which is happening from 18th, 19th, 20th, when it is opened up, I can say that India got freedom, and the many companies, they have taken a cue from that opportunity, and they have taken the opportunity. And when we talk about respectively the 20th century, today everything is digital marketing, augmented reality, and the SMAC on the 3D printing. And currently I will say that it is a knowledge society. The competition is not between the countries, it is competition is globally. If you are competitive, I will come to you. That is what. When I talk about the industry insights, it is expected to be 300 billion by 2020, and currently it contributes 8% of GDP, and it employs more than 10 million people, direct employment. That means similarly another 30% will be indirect employment will be available in this industry, and telecommunication plays 5 to 44%, and IT services, IT devices, and enterprise software, which takes 7%, 17%, and 24%. So if you talk about the growth from 2009 to 2021, what is expected? It is growing at 4x rate. So when I said 300 billion, it is one of the report from NASCAM. Okay, yesterday there was an event at Tamil Nadu. They published some of the data points. So even all the predictions, initially it was growing at 30%. Currently the CAGR is expected to be around 14%. Here 30% is domestic and 70% is exports. So this is one of the very important slide which I'll take one more minute here. So if you talk about the impact is 8% of the GDP, 25% on India's exports, 7% of the FTA, and there is very important factors. 50% of the workforce which is available, they are from non-tier 1 cities, because if you talk about India, we also talk about Bharat here. So there is 80 to 85% is rural. I am from a rural background. I am basically from a place called Kanyakumari in India, which is the last dot of the curvature of the south. So even though studied in engineering and mechanical, the entire industry, there are different streams are attracted by the ICT. And if you see, there is a 78% increase in the patents which has been filed by India globally. And the research and development spend which has been very, very higher. It is growing, and presently available in 75 countries with 500 global delivery centers, which is very, very important. And one more thing is, it has 1 million global workforce. When I say global workers, non-Indians are employed in this industry. There are about, it is a great contribution for the GDP. It is enriching the entire education system, and it is empowering a lot of the rural population. So when we touch base the pillar of growth, what happens if you have to go back? So when we started the journey, when I said 1947, when the third revolution which has happened, which is on 1960, there are companies started in 1968, 76, 78, 86 and 90s. There are about lakh plus has been registered as a company for softwares, but you can today you can just say that there is a handful of people, they perform and they reach the global standards. So the first level of growth, which has started with the body shopping, there are companies, they were asking for technical forces, and Indian company is able to give the one which is required for the body shopping. The second one, which is when the MNCs, which they wanted to outsource some of the contracts they were looking for globally, they found the English speaking, high caliber, high quality manpower was there with India, and they have given a lot of the opportunity for India. And the third one, which I quote one of the word from Jeffrey Gitbour, every obstacles which presents an opportunity if you are looking for. When YTK Millennium Bug, which is erupted and the entire industry was standstill, I can say that there are many companies, they took this as a challenge and they have come with a great amount of solutions, and then the history started after 2000. So when I talk about the facilitation role, in 60s they started a lot of IITs. 72 the electronic policy has been unveiled. In 80 Software Export Council which has been formed, because that is a new industry per se. In 90s STPs, that is Software Technology Parks, created. I still remember there is a park in Tidal Park in Chennai. People used to go there for exhibition. We used to go there and see the facility and come back. And 1990, MNCs are allowed to set up their own center in the STP. And this is one of the landmark thing. In 2002, ahead of the WTO, India liberalized the internet policy. So while doing this, my friend has spoke about the human capital, the HRD department, they allowed a lot of private engineering colleges to set up in India. While setting up the entire engineering colleges, they found there is a supply-demand gap which is coming in the computer science. They said you can open up, the seats are unlimited available for you, you just open it up. And parallelly, there are a lot of vocational companies which is started. They give modular courses which is needed for certification and requirement after graduation, before graduation, after 12th standard. Everything has started on the vocational side. And there is a seaside change, I would say. They encouraged private players to participate in this entire role. So these are the strategy they have adopted. I will just sum it up. National e-governance plan was drafted, wherein they identified some of the key projects as a pilot, and it was implemented, where it is very specific to rural. Again, the government was very specific. This has to be available in the rural side. And they applied the entire one. So to just give a small cue about the requirement, the national identity projects of Aadhaar, which has been implemented by HCL, which is one of the landmark projects for the country. Every Indian has got one identity, thereby he access to all the services which is needed. So this slide is a value proposition from the customer point of view. What a consumer is looking for when you wanted to make ICT as your core domain. First, it has to be outcome based. You should not say that I have a budget to spend. They will not be interested in budget today. They say that if I get $10, I will share $2 along with you. So it is very clearly demarcated the proposition which is on the focus on optimal cost efficiency and unparalleled human capital, which is plenty, which is available in both the country. Both are English speaking here, India. In Nigeria, both are English speaking. And today people are not talking about customer satisfaction. It is an old word. It is customer experience. When you reach the hotel, when you are leaving the hotel, people will ask you, how's the experience, right? And it has to be scalable and secure environment, because some of the data which is very, very confidential. So the trust is very important when you are doing a business. We have to be trustworthy for the industry. And it is ecosystem driven, which is very, very important. If you think this industry, this particular domain I am going to work, you have to take care of all the ecosystem of that industry, and it is clearly service oriented. You would have seen smartwatches, wearables, TVs, and some of the new inventions which is part of this particular value proposition.